Hello and welcome to South Asia Focus. I'm your host, Uzma Jafri. We begin the show with India, which has invited investments to integrate its transport system to reduce the cost of logistics. The Government of India has robust plans to bring a revolution in supply chain by developing ports, highways and road networks. We have a report.
India Integrated Transport and Logistics Summit 2017 brought together over 120 companies to show their eminence to connect road, rail and water transport. Building highways, ports and airports across the country will attract investment of several $1 billion. The three-day exhibition in capital New Delhi provides an excellent platform for companies to understand the various opportunities available in different segments of transport sector in the country. The exhibition provides new possibilities in inland waterways and coastal shipping, new developments in urban transportation, standards and skills for logistics and much more. The plans to develop 35 multimodal logistics parks in the country will bring down the logistics costs to a great extent and help the country's economy.
The supply chain cost in India is quite high if you compare it to the rest of the world, right? And that is the whole intention of the government, to bring down the supply chain cost in India, right? Once you bring down the supply chain cost in India, it actually enables the growth of GDP to that extent. Now these multimodal logistics parks, right? What they enable you to do is to use rail, road and waterways. So we have been concentrating on the road transport for a long time. So the cost of road transport is quite high as compared to the cost of water transport. So what takes 20 paisa in water transport actually costs 1 rupee 50 paisa on road transport. That is what Gadkari ji had said that day. So seen from that perspective, a multimodal logistics park will help, the industry to use these three modes of transport efficiently and judiciously.
On the inaugural day of three-day summit, ministers from civil aviation, road transport and shipping, railways, consumer affairs and skill development shared a platform with a vision to make integrated transport and logistics into reality. The Transport Ministry is expecting to draw big investments of around $31 billion, including from the countries like Abu Dhabi and Hong Kong. Plans are to bring down logistics costs drastically to enhance exports and create huge employment.
हमारी सबसे पहली प्रायोरिटी है वाटरवेज, कोस्टल ट्रांसपोर्ट, सेकंड प्रायोरिटी इज रेलवे एंड थर्ड प्रायोरिटी टू रोड. पर अब कभी कभी मुझे एक अच्छा भी लगता है और दुख भी होता है कि रोड सेक्टर में लगातार बढ़ोतरी हो रही है. पर मैं चाहता हूं कि रोड सेक्टर में बढ़ोतरी होना देश के लिए, हमारे विभाग के लिए तो अच्छी बात है और हमारा काम भी है, पर देश के लिए इंपोर्ट सब्स्टिट्यूट कॉस्ट इफेक्टिव एंड पोल्यूशन फ्री ट्रांसपोर्ट सिस्टम को, उसके विकल्प को ढूंढना होगा जो इंडिजिनियस है.
A MOU between National Investment Infrastructure Fund and DP World has been signed to develop port infrastructure in India. The Dubai-based company pledged $1 billion investment in India's marine infrastructure. It is also looking at several investments in India in the logistics sector and online transactions of customer services.
We announced we are investing over $1 billion in expansion of our facilities. I think this MOU is really a very important step in collaborating with the government as our partner to invest further in logistics.
Many foreign manufacturers like Sweden-based manufacturer of electric and biodiesel vehicles have forayed into Indian market. The company manufacturing battery and biodiesel run transport buses believes there is an enormous need for fuel conservation in India.
I think the will is very obvious because there is an enormous need to have something happening in the shift of the environment impact that we have in India today. And the other question is, of course, can we get lower depending on the crude oil that we are importing to India today? And yes, we can. The technology is there and we have the experience for many, many years now. And just showcasing our ethanol bus for more than 2 years now running in Nagpur shows that we can transform local waste to local local fuel into local transport. And on the other side, we also can create work with that. I mean, you have the rural area and you have the urbanization in the other hand, and both of them must go together in one way or another because it's a system that must communicate.
Transport sector in India is one of the most diverse and large in the world. But the country has a very poor logistics performance index due to unfavorable modal mix of transport and a lack of seamless intermodal connectivity. Integrated multimodal transport planning will help India to achieve a healthy modal mix of transport which is efficient, faster, safer, cost-effective and pollution-free.
The multimodal logistics parks in India will cater to 50% of the freight movement, enabling 10% reduction in transportation costs and 12% reduction in CO2 emissions. Moving on. Tension is mounting at Afghan-Pakistan border after clashes erupted between the forces of the two countries. At least 11 people were killed and dozens wounded after Pakistani forces accompanying a census team crossed the frontier in disputed territory. We have a report.
Sounds of gunshots at West Chaman border crossing continue to scare the residents. On May 5th, Pakistani and Afghan troops exchanged fire for several hours along the disputed border. Pakistan's military said a census team guarded by troops from its frontier corps collecting population data in a village near the border town of Chaman came under fire. At least 11 persons were killed and many wounded. A spokesman for Pakistan's foreign ministry threatened to fully respond if the border clashes did not stop immediately.
The border between Afghanistan and Pakistan is clearly demarcated. All the locations are authenticated by maps available with both the governments. Pakistan is undertaking census in its own areas, which is our sovereign right. The Afghan side should immediately withdraw those elements who are perpetrating these hostilities with a view to ensure peace and tranquility on the border. We would like to urge the Afghan government to immediately stop firing against Pakistani villages. In case Afghanistan does not take measures to stop its provocations, Pakistan reserves the right to fully respond with a view to protect its sovereignty and citizens.
Hospital officials in Pakistani province of Balochistan said 8 civilians, including women and children, had been killed on the Pakistani side. A Pakistani soldier was also killed in the border fire.
बॉर्डर से जख्मी आए हैं वो मेजॉरिटी उनको बराह रास्त फायर करके शहीद या जख्मी किया गया है जो अंदर सिटी में है वो मोटर से सारे जख्मी हुए हैं उन्होंने सिटी पर स्ट्रेट अवे मोटर जो उनका निशाना था.
Relations between the two countries have long been tense, with the Afghan government accusing Pakistan of aiding the Taliban insurgency, which has its leadership council headquartered in Pakistan. On the other hand, Pakistan accuses the Afghan government of harboring terrorists that carry out deadly attacks in Pakistan.
The porous border between the two countries, known as the Durand line, has been a bone of contention, and skirmishes between the two neighbors are often reported from the border. Moving on, the China-led $51.5 billion multi-layered infrastructure project, which aims to connect Kashgar in China's western province of Xinjiang with the port of Gwadar in Balochistan in Pakistan, is a part of China's larger One Belt, One Road initiative. However, people in Pakistan's Balochistan province are protesting against the project. My colleague Ravi Khandelwal spoke to Munir Mengal, a Baloch political activist.
Munir, how this China-Pakistan economic corridor, which is a multi-billion-dollar project, will affect the Balochistan?
Actually, the Balochistan was an occupied land, and earlier the Baloch were crying to the world that our land has been occupied by Pakistan by force, and we were crying at international forums, and there were earlier only two parties. One was Pakistan and the other was the Baloch people. But by this CPEC, now a sense of realization has been created in the world that this is not only disaster to the regional community, to the regional countries, but it is a disaster to the whole international communities. Because China has a secret strategic plan behind that to build a naval base, and that is the real sense of this CPEC. There is no economical development. All these things are just shadow projects to cover the real intentions behind this CPEC project, that China is intended to build a naval base, and that's why the world is going to realize this fact. And because of this fact, we Baloch have created a hope that the world community will help us to come out from this problem.
Pakistan claims that this project will bring economic prosperity to Balochistan and other parts of Pakistan. But Baloch, they are saying that it's an economic exploitation. So how can you bring a difference in these two opinions?
The son of soil, the kid of a Gavadar, is crying because of his, because of water, because of thirst. He is, still deprived from getting clean water. What the Baloch people can expect from this? Till date, what we have seen, that China has brought, more than six armed personnel for the protection of his one worker. And on the other hand, we see that Pakistan has announced that they are going to make 6 garrisons of security personnel, especially for the protection of CPEC projects. By this, we know this fact that CPEC is just a death pact for the Baloch people. And if this project got built on our land, then there will be no Baloch in Balochistan, on their soil, in their land.
We have seen, rise in incidents of violence in Balochistan. There are number of incidents, where people are being disappeared. So, will you expect that there will be a rise in violence in the coming days, because Pakistan has to make CPEC a successful project?
No, actually, this thing has been created from the first day when the Baloch, opposed Pakistani occupation. Since then, we are facing this sort of involuntary disappearances, torturing and kidnapping our females and throwing their dead bodies from helicopters. And there has been a rise with respect to the time. And now, unfortunately, in the last decade, we have seen this thing has risen up because of this CPEC, because Pakistan now has a real sense that it has a hand behind it for their strategic designs. And unfortunately, China is intentionally pursuing Pakistan to eliminate Baloch from their land as soon as possible.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Let's move to Afghanistan, where former warlord and leader of Islamist organization Hezb-e-Islami Gulbuddin Hekmatyar returned to the country after signing a peace deal with the government, after which the United Nations Security Council dropped sanctions against him in February this year.
Former Afghan warlord, who was also the country's prime minister for a brief period, met his supporters in eastern Afghanistan for the first time since returning from exile after UN sanctions on him were lifted. Hekmatyar, who was a major figure during the bloody civil war of the 1990s and was accused of indiscriminately firing rockets into Kabul, as well as other human rights abuses, returned to his nation after many years. Many of his supporters see it as a significant step by the Afghan government and welcome his return. In his first public speech since signing a peace deal with the Afghan government, one of Afghan's most notorious warlords called for the Taliban to stop fighting and begin negotiations.
نور لدي بيهودا بمانا او نامقدس جګړې لاس واخلي زه په دې خپل هېواد کې د اسلام بشپړ حاکمیت غواړم تر دې نه په کم شي نه راضي کېږم هېڅکله چې ټوله دنیا زما په خلاف ودرېږي له دې هدف نه پر وړاندې شي نه راضي کېږم خپلواک سرلوړی مستقل او اسلامي افغانستان غواړم خو که ستا هدف او تګلاره افغان وژنه وي نو زه له دې جنګ نه نفرت لرم ولس ته م وایم چې نور مه پرېږدئ چې څوک بدمستو د غرور او تکبر او جهالت قرباني شي.
In a remarkable turnaround for a leader widely hated for his part in a civil war that killed thousands in the capital Kabul and razed much of the city, Gulbuddin Hekmatyar is now due to meet Afghan president before he starts his new political innings. Authorities sitting in Kabul, who are largely affected by the Taliban terror, are hopeful that his example will show that reconciliation is possible and that he will use his position to bring different sides together.
We hope for peace to prevail in war-torn Afghanistan. Let's move to Nepal, which is set to go for the local body polls in few days, and political parties across the country are extensively campaigning for their future. A dramatic turn of events has already been witnessed, with legislators of the country impeaching the Chief Justice of Nepal. We have a report.
Enthusiastic candidates from all parties came out to file their nomination papers for the first phase of upcoming local body elections slated for May 14th. Nepal is witnessing an unprecedented atmosphere, with various political parties with different ideological beliefs entering the political battle, and some more expected to join the fray before the second phase. In the first phase, polling will be held for 283 local bodies, while elections for remaining 461 local bodies will be held on June 14th. Voters are also excited to witness the historic moment of elections.
करिब 20 वर्षपछि हुन लागेको यो स्थानीय चुनावमा चाहिँ हामी नयाँ मतदाताका साथै नयाँ उम्मेदवारहरू जो युवाहरू छन् उनीहरूले चाहिँ राम्रो एक्सपोजर पाएका छन्। यस प्रकारको यो ऐतिहासिक अवसरमा चाहिँ सहभागी हुन पाउँदा चाहिँ म एकदमै उत्साहित छु।
स्थानीय चुनाव चाहिँ करिब अब एक हप्तामै हुन गइरहेको छ। यसमा हुन गइरहेको छ राजनीतिक दलको मतभेदले गर्दा केही मनमा डर चाहिँ छ, तर पनि उम्मेदवारी दर्ता हुँदा चाहिँ एक्साइटमेन्ट धेरै बढेको छ।
Nepal was going through a political turbulence before PM Pushpa Kamal Dahal was successful in bringing all parties on board to go for the elections. Agitating parties which were constantly demanding for the rights of proportional representation for Madhesi and Terai people and withdrawing of provincial boundaries in the country are participating after the government decided to resolve their issues through the fast track before the election dates.
उत्साहित नै छु। 20 वर्षपछि हुन गइरहेको यो स्थानीय निर्वाचनमा भाग लिन पाउँदाखेरि खुसी छ। साथै यो एउटा हाम्रो अवसरको रूपमा पनि रहेको छ। यतिखेर चाहिँ स्थानीय तहमा विकास निर्माणका गतिहरू भने जसरी अगाडि बढ्न सकिराखेको छैन। स्थानीय स्तरका प्रतिनिधिहरू हुन नपाउँदाखेरि त्यो कारणले गर्दाखेरि अब यो स्थानीय निर्वाचनपछि प्रतिनिधिहरू छनौट भइसकेपछि निर्वाचित भइसकेपछि उहाँहरूद्वारा पक्कै पनि अब गाउँ-गाउँमा स्थानीय तहमा जसरी अड्किराखेका विकासका निर्माणका गतिहरू फेरि द्रुत गतिमा अगाडि बढ्ला र विकास होला र विभिन्न भइराखेका अड्किराखेका विकासहरूले चाहिँ फेरि पूर्ण रूपमा क्रियाशील भएर अगाडि बढ्ला भन्ने अपेक्षा गरेको छु।
There is a hope of political commotion ending in the country, with the elections being conducted after a period of almost 2 decades.
People in Nepal wish for a stable government for the economic and social development in the country. Let's move to India, a land known for its vibrant culture and traditions that are part of its diverse community. The Ao community of its northeastern state of Nagaland celebrated Moatsu festival, a post-seed sowing festival, recently. Take a look.
India is a diverse land with vivid cultures and traditions. Each community has its unique and exquisite practices and customs. Moatsu festival, a festival of post-seed sowing season, was celebrated by Ao Naga community, one of the prominent tribes of Nagaland, with gaiety and fervour at Dimapur town. Also known as Moatsu Mom, the festival is a time for relaxation, after the toil and labor of the sowing process, clearing jungles, tilling fields and preparing for sowing and the sowing of seeds. The celebration was marked by numerous traditional Ao folk songs, dances and short play based on an Ao folklores and folk tales.
Provides much needed time for recreation and entertainment for the Ao community after the tedious work of sowing season is over. This season and this festival is marked with songs and dances. It is also a time for the Ao community to invoke God's blessings.
The festival highlighted the traditional and cultural aspects of Moatsu festival through various forms of vigorous folk dances and traditional songs. Old and young of the community decked up in their finest traditional clothes and jewelry to become part of the festival. The menfolk dressed in traditional gear performed traditional warrior dances which become appealing and thrilled of the celebration.
Wonderful occasion, a God-given day, a blessed day, where we can all come together to celebrate Moatsu in the right spirit of brotherhood, of unity, of forgiveness and oneness in our work, in our objective, in all the things that we need to do together.
Moatsu festival remains the premier festival of the Ao Nagas. During the festival, the elders encouraged the youth to preserve their identity, rich culture, tradition and sports which were inherited from the forefathers.
India has over 600 tribes which constitute 8.61% of the total population of the country. I take your leave with a musical show held recently in India's Goa state. Goodbye and take care.